Hey, what's up? It's another episode of Watch You Strappin. These aren't watch reviews. Exactly. These are just usually wristwatch checks with a strap choice. Pairing just to show the options. If it's something new, such as this, it will be on its factory bracelet first. I may come back around to it sometime again later, but usually that's what I'll show up first, and then something else aftermarket to show with a particular watch. Anyways, this is the TAG Heuer Formula 1 Solargraph. Reference number, I gotta check. It should be in my notes. There should be WBY1111111, right? There's 4 ones. Yeah, I believe it's WBY11111. WBY1111. Okay, there we go. Yes, this is one of the, if not, probably I would consider this the very first of the new line of Formula One watches that they basically revived from, I guess, the 80s and 90s. It's really cool. It's really well done, I think. They did put out something similar previous year. I'm recording this as of mid-ish, that's around mid-ish April 2025, and I think around this time or so last year, they had a collab with a fashion brand, I guess, called Kith, Kith. Sounds like most people don't know who they were unless you were actively buying that kind of clothing, which, I don't know, that stuff seems expensive. Like, I don't know, $200 sweatshirts or something like that. But anyways, yeah, it's like the cool, like, streetwear. But anyways, those were nice looking, actually, and they were pretty faithful to the original. They were just quartz, like normal, I guess, battery operated, such as the original ones. And they had a lot of the original colorways, I think, for the most part. But then the co-branded the logo with Kith instead of TAG at the top, and then it says Heuer on the bottom, which yeah, that was kind of the downside for me. I just did not want another brand on there, especially Kith, which I have no affiliation with, even though they were pretty cool, but they were kind of pricey too. Not to say that this is inexpensive, which it isn't, but yeah. And then now, after they finally had a LVMH and especially TAG Heuer have been recently been made the official partners or timekeepers for Formula One again. I forget how long the span has been since the last time, but it's great to see that. They definitely have a history in motorsports, especially Formula One, and just to have that association officially back again is really great. And I think they did launch like a Formula One chronograph a little bit prior to this one, this non-chronograph Formula One. They're automatics, and it's quite a bit larger. I think they were around 43 or 44, and they're pretty cool. I have yet to try one. I might do it and sometimes just to see how it fits on my wrist. It might wear better than I think, but so that could be like the official new Formula One watch that kind of celebrates the TAG Heuer's partnership again with Formula One. But I would say this watch is probably more so because when TAG Heuer, before Heuer, when it became TAG Heuer, the Formula One model, I believe, was the first model of watches to actually have that logo that, like you see, similar to what you see here. This is an updated logo, but basically when it says TAG Heuer on the logo on these sets of Formula One watches back then. And so I think, and they were, obviously timekeepers of Formula One as well. And to have them back now and using this same model, essentially, but they upsize it from 35 to 38 now. This is 38 millimeters, which is a great modern size, I think. It's still small for some people, I think, but I think for me, on my 7-inch wrist, try to back it up here, it works really nicely. And I think even for larger wristed, I mean, you just got to take it that, it's still, I think, a small wearing watch is fairly faithful to how these were originally made anyways. It's just not as small as they were, and I think it's 38 is a good, I wouldn't say it's a compromise, but an update to this design. And there's a number of features. I believe the lugs are also like a little bit reshaped and might curve better, and seem to fit really nicely on my wrist. You can see here, and they updated the clasp. It has a nice like flip out like quick adjust, and it's similar to like I showed it in my video. It's similar to like what they have on the Solargraph watches, Aqua Racer. And so it's a quick like 5 or 6 millimeter extension, which is perfect. It's just enough. I don't have to fiddle with back and forth whether I adjusted the bracelet enough or not, when resizing it. If my wrist happens to swell up just 5 millimeters or so, it's just enough to get that relief and still have it, not wear too loose, or maybe not enough. Again, you may not adjust it enough for the ones that have the sliding clasp. Although I do like those new Aqua Racers that have I think that they're on the newest GMTs that they just put out. I'm not sure if they have a non-GMT, but they're pretty cool because they have like a buttons like right would be on the side here as well. It's kind of below these main dual pushers that release the clasp. There's a set of buttons that actually, and then you can see a slot, kind of opening for that to slide down. So then you don't have to really take your watch off. You can just kind of hold on to those buttons and move the thing slide. That's pretty cool, but this works fine for me for quick operation. Anyways, going back to this watch really quickly, just wanted to say it's a cool watch. It's and I think they celebrated their reintroduction or reemergence with Formula One pretty well with this design. This Formula One is like the official clock on, that's the design they use on their pit lane clocks, which is pretty cool. So it looks, more or less like this design, but no date actually, which would be cool. And it's also like a sweeping hands instead of a ticking one. And I don't know if they have different color clocks. They may change it over time, but currently I've only seen one with like almost like the reverse of this dial and bezel. So it's like a red bezel, and where you see the red chapter ring around the dial, that's black instead. Other than that, the rest of it pretty much the same. Again, there's no date on that. And so it would be interesting if they ever decide to make a version of this, one in automatic, so it has a sweeping hands. Secondly, or maybe first, make it like that racing clock that they first showed off with the red bezel and the black outer, and it still has a red, seconds hands. And did I say automatic? Oh, and then I guess it could do a no-date version. So basically, it looks like the racing clock at the tracks, a version of that. And maybe, of course, they could expand on more colors in that sense. But I don't know. I don't really care. I'm in the camp now, if there is a camp for this, of appreciating watches just for their design and just simply if I like them or not. I'm not really a movement snob. I might have been at one point. I've been converted to, things got to be automatic or mechanical, because I did quartz for so many years, and there is a cooler factor in having a mechanical, like a purely mechanical movement running a watch. But I've done that plenty of times, a lot, and I've done some quartz still in between, and watches work great either way. And it's not a big deal anymore, honestly, unless you're getting something with like incredible finishing and super interesting complications or something that really, shows off like a special level of watchmaking engineering. Most of these watches that I think a lot of people get are basically all the same movements, right? Sellita or ETA based from the Swiss, or they're probably going to be a Seiko or, Citizen, with a Miyota movement inside that, mostly, right? One of those, either two from the Japanese of some sort, or the two of the ones from Swiss. Maybe technically Sopra would be one as well. I see them being used. And Le Jeu Pareil, although that they are basically, at least a lot of them can be basically Swiss-made versions of a Miyota movement. So see, you're basically dealing with a lot of the same movements and just in recase. And I've done them all, so at this point, I don't really care. And I do find myself oddly, it wasn't purposeful, but converting back to quartz watches. If things go the way they are, I may not even have a mechanical in my collection for a while, and that's okay. I'm enjoying these quartz. They're accurate, they're robust, they keep the watch slim, they're hassle-free, especially the solar movements like this one. You know, you don't need a battery change or anything. Now for a long time, I think at least 15 years before maybe you have to bring it in to update the rechargeable battery, but it could very well last beyond that. You know, this is a Lejeune Perret Solargraph movement, which basically is some Swiss-made version or whatever they never really say what, but somehow they've done something with the Citizen or Miyota, I guess basically a Citizen Solargraph movements that they have. But since it's all basically based, I think, on Citizen technology, and they've been in the solar quartz game for a long time, and I think they probably are the ones that excel at it, you know, and make a really good one. I don't think there's any problem with that. It's gonna be, you know, robust and reliable, and should be pretty accurate. I mean, this and my Solargraph are super accurate right now. Barely a second, like fractions of a seconds off a day, if even that. So yeah, not a big deal. The price, sure, it is pricey for what it is. I have to admit, you know, but this is, after all, a luxury brand, TAG Heuer, and I think where they want to set themselves up in the market, they're not looking to produce sub $1,000 watches anymore. You know, it's just quite a long time since they did that, and you know, you're just gonna, you know, the movement may not necessarily dictate the price, but the branding and the design, it's an original design, and I think overall the build qualities are actually pretty nice. Actually, you can get these in hand, you have to see them. I think you might find they look a lot more impressive in person than they do in any, like, the renderings. Those always fail to impress me. Yeah, you really got to get hands-on and see these. Right now, yeah, this is like it, and I think it's, did I make my point about this being pretty cool, being like pretty much the very first model of the ties in TAG Heuer with Formula One, and you know, because this has this particular design goes back in the 80s, when they kind of had that, and I think it's more significant than their chronograph F1s that they just they put up a little bit before these, because this just kind of ties into that theme more, I think, and celebrates it more, in my opinion. The new Formula One chronographs are a bit more modern and everything. They're not retro at all, I don't think. And so I think, you know, these just have that, I guess, heritage, you know, and that's cool. I dig it. Anyways, rambling enough. I got to get my day going. So thanks for watching, and enjoy watching. So surely enjoy these, and I look forward to seeing what I can pair with these and accessorize. I do believe, I haven't really checked it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty tight fit under these hooded lugs here. But you know, we'll find out soon enough. Thanks for watching. Later. Okay, hold on a second. One last thing I forgot to add into the video. I just realized driving to my stop here after making this video, was didn't fully mention the bracelet, the strap, I guess, that this was on, which is part of this video. I did mention the class, which I'm not going to go over again. It's other than to mention, besides the quick adjust that you have, it's again sort of like an easy link, which is just a quick pull and release. You'll get like about roughly 5 to 6 millimeters of extension, and it's all hidden underneath the clasp, so it'll look like still a continuous thing, which it should be when you're going to do extension. I hate it when they show the extended part, it doesn't match, and it has a break between the bracelet links and the clasp. So that's good, and it's, again, hassle-free. And this overall, I think this clasp is a good size. It's not too long. It just has just enough presence, and it's slim which I like. And I don't need a fold over either. Dual deployment, you know, with the double push buttons. So I need. It's clean look, and it works. And yeah, I don't need a flip locky thing additionally on top of something like that. And the bracelet is pretty nice. It is a pin and collar system, in case anyone was wondering. But I mean, really, these are easy to adjust and size. And once you get it done, you're never really going to go back to it. So, you know, if you find it a hassle, think of it as just a one-time chore or duty, and then you're set. And you do get 3 positions of micro adjust, so you can fine tune it. Of course, you have that extension, but I think the links are relatively short too, and plus these the amount of micro adjust you get, I think you should be able to dial in pretty good. Again, back to the link bracelet, you know, with this hooded lug, it is going to be a straight end inside there, but it all kind of integrates and matches and flows really nicely. It is I believe 19 millimeters, and I haven't measured it, but from the looks of it, it probably tapers down to, my guess is about 16 millimeters. But it's a good taper, you know, it keeps it nice and slim and comfortable on wrist and all of that. And that's pretty much it. And and just one more thing, since I was talking a bit about the watch itself, I think one other difference between this and maybe the vintage models, as well as the recent, or at least last year, the Kith, you know, Heuer Formula ones, is the bezel. Like, I think they used to have, at least with a 5, that is the only one that would have a single digit. So just say 5. I think they used to do that before, but I like the fact that they added the 0 in front. Kind of like, what was it? The Rolex Air King, right? The first version, I guess, didn't have that. And then something about the way that dial looked, like it looked kind of oddly unbalanced without that one double digit. So they added it on the last and most recent iteration of it. And anyway, so I like the fact that they added it there. So all the numbers all around the bezel have a double digit. So it looks that much more symmetrical. It doesn't look like a weird, slightly imbalanced or blank spot here with a missing digit. And what I was going to say, the dial is white, but it is kind of an off-white, but it's a nice look. I don't know if you can tell. Actually the indexes are actually more white than the dial itself, but they're close enough. But I like that little slight difference. It just gives it a little something extra, and helps maybe give that slightly added contrast. Otherwise, it could be maybe too much stark white on white, or something like that. And oh yeah, the other, I think, upgrade and nice little detail is that they have, I believe, applied markers on the dial now. So I believe they were just printed before. So, you know, that's all right. It's flat. I don't mind necessarily printed, but I do think this elevates the look of this watch, and just adding that extra bit of fine detail and everything. And the lume works actually really good. It's pretty reactive and strong and long lasting. But I will say, actually, I've tested this for a couple of nights, because I always wear my watches to sleep, and just to see how they uphold overnight, from night to morning. But it holds. Everything's basically readable, but I would say the handset, because they are noticeably smaller or thinner compared to the indexes, which are pretty bold, they don't hold as much lume, or at least the intensity is reduced because of that. So they do seem a little bit dimmer than than the dial indexes, but they are still legible. I mean, I can still see them. They are you know, not as bright, but then they still will hold up. And just making a note that, you know, I wish they were a little bit more even, you know, somehow, if they I don't know, if they added more lume inside, or just this wouldn't hurt to have had the handset a little bit bigger, if I'm being pretty honest. But I'm actually not that bothered by it at the same time. I mean, but maybe sometime down the line. But that is another difference between this and some of the previous models, the Kith, as well as the actual, like, you know, neo-vintage models that these were, the design stems from. And that's about it. Oh, and it's kind of cool that this has a nice sign crown. It's just kind of black with the Heuer shield in it, and I don't know, it just looks nice to have that. It's not just all silver, and it's interesting that this is the only like high polished part on the watch, not really anywhere else. It's kind of weird they didn't go with a matte finish as well, but again, it doesn't really bother me for some reason. I don't know, it's just a little accent, I guess. And otherwise fairly matte or toned down and tooly looking watch. That pop adds a little bit of pop, I guess you can say, with that polish, and the dial colors and general color combinations is the pop for these Formula One watches anyways. All right, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I guess yes, definitely enjoy watches, and I'll catch you next one. Now I'm really done for today. Bye.